Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is Bruna and today we are going to be crocheting the very trendy that we see everywhere now on Instagram and Pinterest, the arm sweaters. They call it, I think, arm warmer sweaters, but it's such a long name that I'm just gonna call it arm sweaters. The very first time I saw this was in Zara. I was going through their website and then I found this crazy looking thing and then I was like, oh my god, I can actually make that in crochet. And then I didn't do it. And then the next week, the following week, I saw everyone doing it. And then I was like, oh my god, I have to give this a try. I have to just grab some yarn and start doing it because it looks so fun in crochet and super different, and you can make it colorful as well. Usually the ones that they are selling on the websites is like one color, like brown, more like natural colors, browns and like beige, white. So I was like, I'm gonna make one, but it's going to be colorful. So I had these two beautiful yarns here in my house and I decided to use them and it turned out to be amazing. I thought it would look super crazy at the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, and then when I saw it finished and then when I first tried it on, I was like, yeah, that was a really great idea. That was amazing. And I'm really liking it. I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoy. It's super different but super fun and super cute at the same time. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this arm sweater. So this is basically a sweater, but just for your neck and arms. It's actually perfect now for springtime here in the UK because it's still chilly. So this is actually pretty good for the season. And also this arm sweater thing, it's super quick to make. You can make like in under 1.5 hours, which is amazing and super quick. Also, you just use single crochets and double crochets, a little bit of decreases right here, but it's super fun. So I really hope you guys enjoy today's video. If you do, make sure to give your massive thumbs up as you always do. Also, don't forget to subscribe and to turn on the little notification bell to receive a notification every time I post a new video. So enjoy the video everyone. So now let's begin with today's project. So these are all the materials we are going to be using for today's project. So first we have the yarns. These are the two yarns that I decided to use for this particular project. First we have the berry on this side, which is a pale pastel purple, which is super pretty. And then on this side here we have the burgundy one, which is the Bravissimo yarn. Both of them are from Teslan.com. I'll link them in the description if you want to check it out. This one is an acrylic yarn, and this one here, it's a 30% wool and 70% acrylic. This one is a yarn weight number 5 and this one is a number 4, so a little bit smaller. That's why I am using two different hooks. I'm using a 6mm for this yarn here and then a 4mm for the burgundy. And then right here inside my little coaster I have some stitch markers. I'm not really using stitch markers for this project, but if you are a beginner you might need some stitch markers. Also, I'm going to be using a tapestry needle, and then I also have these clips here that I got from Teslan.com too. I'll link them in the description. They are super useful if you are sewing things together in crochet. So I'm now kind of using them, trying them out, and I'm really loving it. So if you want, you can get them for crochet too, not only for sewing. And then last but not least, we have a small pair of scissors, and these are all the materials we are going to be using for today's project. So now let's move on into the very first part, which is going to be creating the sleeves. So I have one of the sleeves completed. So this is what I'm going to be showing you how to crochet. You can see how it looks just like this. It has a curve here to go around the shoulders and the arms, and then the cuffs. So the very first thing we have to do will be the cuffs, so I'll show you how to do that first, and then we are going to be sewing it together and then create the rows here on top of the cuffs, as you can see. So get the first color, the color that you want for the cuffs. I'm doing with this beautiful burgundy. I think that these two goes really well together. I really love this combination. It's a little bit different from what I usually go for, but I'm really loving these two colors together. And for this one, as I mentioned, I'm using a 4mm hook. The cuffs I am doing a little bit longer than usual. You can see that is just a little bit longer. I'm going to be measuring everything for you, so I will be using a measuring tape. I forgot to mention, but I'm going to be using a measuring tape too. I'm doing also with single crochets, but you can also do with half double crochets or with double crochets. Single crochets just makes it a little bit prettier in my opinion. So the very first thing you have to do is to create your slip knot. And then here we are going to be creating a chain that is the sizing of the cuffs that you want. Basically the length of the cuffs, because we are working horizontally and then working all the way up, you will see. For my one, I decided to do a chain of 20. So I would have 19 single crochets. So I'm going to be creating right here a chain of 20. So here I have my chain of 20. So now I'm going to be measuring this chain for you. So without stretching, my cuffs is 12 centimeters. That is 4.5 inches, as you can see here. So that's going to be the length of my cuffs. And when I say length, this is what I mean. It's from the bottom here all the way up. So this is the length because we are working horizontally going that way, so that we are going to be closing and joining here with the rest of the sleeves. So that's why you have to decide the length that you want. So now let's move on into the first row. So to start here with our very first row with single crochets, we are going to be skipping this very first loop, the very first chain, which is chain number 20. And then we are going to go to chain number 19. And then here we are going to be creating our very first single crochet. And then we are going to go all the way down the chain here and we are going to be creating single crochets. You want to make sure that you have 19 single crochets going across here the very first row. So I'm doing here my last one. So this is single crochet number 19. So now we have the very first row of single crochets completed. Now to go into the next row, we are going to chain one, just like this. We are going to be turning our project and we are gonna go right into the very first single crochet here, the very first stitch. We are going to be grabbing the back loops only to create that wavy effect, kind of like a knitted effect. So here we have the front loop and the back loop, you can see here, back loop, front loop, and then the entire stitch by going through both loops just like this. So we have to get the back loop only. So we are gonna go back loop only and then single crochet into the very first single crochet. And then we are repeating the same all the way down, grabbing back loop only and then single crochet, back loop only and single crochet. And then you're going to be repeating the same all the way down. 17 here, 18, and then 19. So we are basically skipping the chain one at the beginning of each row. We are not counting the chain one as a stitch. It's going to be the same when you go into the next row too. So find that very last stitch, back loop only and single crochet. Here I have 19 single crochets going across. That's why we have started here at the beginning, at the very first stitch. So skip that chain, we are not creating any single crochet into that chain. Chain one, turn project, and then you're gonna go right into the very first stitch. There is a V here, back loop only and single crochet. And then you're gonna go all the way down, following the same steps. So I got here at the end, I have my two last stitches. So this one is 18, 19. All right, so now all we have to do is to repeat the same until it wraps around our wrist right here. I did 30 rows, so I'm going to be doing here, continuing with my rows. Once I have my 30 rows, I will be back and then I will measure it for you and then I'll show you how that looks. So I am done here with the 30 rows that I'm doing for my cuffs, and this is how you want it to be. Just that it closes just like this, all right? Remember that it is a little bit stretchy, so keep that in mind. I did mine a little bit bigger. And if I measure here for you, so I've done right here 18.5 centimeters. Now what we have to do is to cut the yarn here and fasten off, but make sure that you leave enough yarn that you can sew here closed with this yarn here, so we don't need to attach a new one. And now we're ready to sew the parts together. So grab your tapestry needle and you're going to be threading this yarn into your tapestry needle. It doesn't really have a reverse and a right side, so you can actually do any. All we have to do is to join the beginnings right here together, the two sides together, and sew it in place. So I'm just gonna go through that very first stitch, the very two stitches right here one more time, just to lock the yarn here in place. And then from here you are just going to be sewing the sides together, grabbing one stitch from one side, one from the other, and sew it together. And you're going to be doing this all the way down. So once you get to the end, make sure that you go through that last stitches just one more time. And then the last one, by creating a little loop here at the end and going through the loop and pull nice and tight to fasten off. I'm just going to be creating a knot here with these two yarns. And then I'm going to be threading this other end into my tapestry needle, and I'm going to be weaving in both of these yarns into the reverse here of the cuffs, because now this is our reverse. Make sure that it's the same size here, because then it's easier to weave in. You can now cut the yarn and the weave-in is done. And now we have the cuffs completed. All we have to do now is to turn inside out. So now the next thing we have to do is to create single crochets all the way on top right here. You can choose any of the ends. I'm going to be doing right here. And we're going to be creating one row with single crochets going all the way around so that we can add the next color and then go into the actual sleeves. Because if we create this very first row here with the light purple, what's going to happen, you will see the kind of the transition between the darker color to the lighter one, and like this the transition looks really clean and pretty. So that's how I decided to do. You can actually go straight from here with the next color, but I thought of adding one row with single crochets just so we have a base was a little bit better, and it looked really good. So that's what I'm gonna do. So get the burgundy yarn again, and we are going to be creating a slip knot. So now you can choose any stitch here to attach your yarn. I'm going to be choosing this little gap that we have right here. So I'm going to be attaching it right here with a single crochet. And now is the time where you can maybe use your stitch marker, so you know that this one here was the first single crochet. What I did for my one, I decided on the sizing that I wanted for my sleeves, and then I created the amount of single crochets. So for this one here, to get this width for the sleeves so it's not too puffy, 43 single crochets gave me this width, which is 20 centimeters and then 40 centimeters circumference. So if you add more single crochets, you will have a puffier sleeve And then if you add less, you're going to be having a skinnier sleeves. This one here, you'll get an idea, and then you can decide if you want to do a little bit more or less depending on how you want it to look. For me, I'm doing 43 single crochets, counting this very first one here. So every time I find a stitch or a little place that I can place a single crochet, I'm going to be doing a single crochet. So let's do that. And then this one is going to be my last one, 43. Once you've done that, you can now remove here the stitch marker. And then you're going to be finding that very first stitch from the very first single crochet. And then you're going to be slip stitching here the sides together. And then we are going to chain one and fasten off. So now here for the light purple, we are going to be changing into our 6mm hook. So first you're going to be creating a slip knot. And then we are going to be attaching into any stitch going around the single crochets here. So I'm going to be choosing this one. So go through that stitch, pull up a loop and single crochet. And then we're going to be chaining 2. So now here we are going to be starting with our double crochets. So all we have to do is to double crochet into every stitch going around here at the top of the single crochets. And you also want to make sure that you have 43 double crochets. So we are not doing any increases right here because we have to do all the increases for the sizing of the sleeves here where the single crochets are. So just go around here right at the top with double crochets. So I'm going to be continuing here with my double crochets and I'll meet you right at the end. And 43. So 43 double crochets. So now right here on top of the chain 2, so we have the single crochet, 1, 2, right on top of that chain, we are going to be slip stitching the sides together. So this is our very first row completed. You will see that the sleeve will get bigger now because we did add the single crochets here a lot more than we are supposed to because we are increasing a little bit. And this is the sizing that I decided to go for. Okay, so you can actually choose how you want it. So now we are going to go into the next row, and the next row is going to be basically the same that we are going to be doing for a couple of rows until we have the sizing of the sleeves that we want. So all we have to do is to chain 3, and then this very first stitch here is going to be our very first stitch to create the very first double crochet, and the chain 3 counts as a stitch. So go through this very first stitch and create your very first double crochet, and all you have to do is to double crochet on top of every stitch you find. And also you want to count to make sure that you have 43 double crochets, including the chain here at the beginning. It's also the same here for the previous row. You want to count this one as a stitch too. So go all the way around. This one here from the chain is not a stitch. As you can see here, this one right on top of this double crochet is going to be the last stitch. Then you're going to be counting 1, 2, 3 into the third chain. You're going to be slip stitching the sides here together. So that's how we are going to be creating this very first part. It's just double crochets going up, no increases, no decreases. And now you can just continue. So chain 3 and then double crochet all the way around. All right, so now I'm gonna show you how many rows I'm going to be doing for this very first part here for the sleeves. So this very first part here that we are doing with the double crochet is going straight. It's from here, the cuffs, until underneath the armpit. I'm not doing super close to my armpit because I don't want it to be uncomfortable. And from here all the way to here, I have 20 rows. You can actually count. The rows are quite big because we are using a bigger yarn. So I am right here at the beginning, 3 rows, so I have to do all the 20 in total here. Once I have the 20 rows completed, I will show you how to do the decreases here and also this little part here. So I'm done here with my 20 rows for the very first part of the sleeves, and if I measure this one for you, that's around 34.5 centimeters, and in total right now we have 46 centimeters. So I'm just going to try this on to show you where I've stopped crocheting. It's basically underneath my arms, but you'll see. So if I try it on here, this is how it looks. I'm not doing all the way up my armpits because it's going to be quite uncomfortable. So I'm doing around 2 fingers below my armpits, like around 3 centimeters below my armpits. So you can actually choose how you want to do it. You can do a little bit like this as well. So you can do more rows so it's a little bit baggier too. So you can actually decide on that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. This is how it looks so far. So now we are going to be starting to decrease, and we're going to be creating this one to go around our arms. So it's going to be like a V. So it's going to be kind of curved, that goes nicely around our arms, underneath the armpits, and then around our shoulders. So we are still going to be continuing right here where we were doing the joining of the rows, because here is right underneath the armpits. So from here we are going to be starting the decreases. So we are going to be leaving 2 stitches here underneath the armpits. So what I do, I slip stitch right into the next stitch here. And then these 2 are the ones that I'm going to be leaving. So the one from the chain and then the next one. So I'm going to be placing a stitch marker right into this stitch, the one before here, the chain. So this is going to be the last stitch we are going to be stopping. So for this one, we are going to be starting the rows a little bit different, with a different way of starting rows, because we want the finishing here to be a little bit nicer. As you can see here on this one, the finishing is pretty nice and straight. So there is a different way of starting the rows to create that kind of effect. So how we are going to be doing that, it's by going through the next stitch and creating a single crochet. And then we are going to chain 1. And then we are going to go right in between the single crochet that we've created previously here. So into this stitch, and this one here is the ones right at the front. So you can see there is a single crochet right here. So you're going to go through this loop and then the other loop here on the side. And then here you're going to pull up a loop, and then you're going to single crochet right on top. So you can see that the beginning is a little bit thicker. So that's going to maintain the sides really nice and straight. So now into the next 2 stitches, we are going to be creating a decrease. So you're going to be creating the very first part of a double crochet. So you're going to have 3 loops on the hook, and then you're going to yarn over, pull through the very first 2 loops, keeping that last one on the hook. And then you're going to be doing that one more time, creating the first part of a double crochet, and then yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. Now we are going to be having 3 loops on the hook. All you have to do is to yarn over and pull through all the loops together. So now here we have a decrease plus this stitch right here that is the beginning of the row. So this one is going to be counting as a stitch. So after creating this decrease here, all we have to do is to go all the way around with double crochets until we have 2 stitches left here at the end. So the one from the stitch marker and the one before the stitch marker. So when I'm right here, I'm going to be doing my last double crochet here, and then when I get into these 2 stitches, we are doing another decrease. So I'm going to be continuing here with my double crochets, and then I'll meet you right at the end. So now I got here at the end, I have 2 stitches left. So all we have to do is to create a decrease right here at the end into these 2 last stitches, exactly the same as we did at the beginning. There we go. So to go up, we are going to be doing the same thing that we did right here at the beginning. So we are going to first chain 1, and then we are going to be turning the project. So now we don't need the stitch marker anymore. And then into this very first stitch here, we are going to be doing that little trick. So first a single crochet, chain 1, and then you go through the single crochet, and then you create another single crochet. That's the beginning. And now into the next 2 stitches, we are going to be doing a decrease. So we decrease here at the beginning and also at the end. And then we are going to be going all the way around with double crochets until we have 2 stitches left. It's going to be the one right on top of the little trick that we've created and the one right before that. So if you want, you can add a stitch marker here, so you know that you're going to be stopping right here, and then here is going to be our last decrease. So once you got here at the end, remove the stitch marker. So we have the last 2 stitches. So right here we are going to be doing a decrease into these 2 last stitches, just like that. So now I'm going to be repeating 2 more rows following the same steps, as we are going to be changing after the amount of decreases that we are doing. So have 4 rows just like this one in total, and then when you are into the 5th row, come back and then I'll show you how to do the next 3 rows with more decreases, because then it's going to deepen even more the decreases and it's going to kind of curve it out a little bit more. So here I have the 4 rows with 1 decrease on each side. So now we are going to move on into the next 3 rows with 2 decreases on each side. So the beginning is exactly the same as we've been doing already into the previous rows. So I'm going to be doing it right here. And then decrease into the next 2 stitches. Okay. So now we have to do a double crochet here into the next stitch. And then into the next 2 stitches will be another decrease. So now we have 2 decreases here at the beginning, and we are also going to be having 2 decreases at the end. So I'm going to be now continuing here with my double crochets, and then I'll meet you once I have 5 stitches left, so we can do the same as we did here at the beginning. So now we have here 5 stitches left, as you can see. So the next 2 stitches will be a decrease. So following the same thing as the beginning. So the next 2, a decrease. The next one, 1 double crochet. And then the last 2, it's going to be a decrease. So this is the 5th row now completed with 2 decreases on each side. So now I have to do 2 more rows exactly like this one, so we have more decreases. And then I'll show you what to do next. So I'm just going to be doing here 2 more rows following the same steps as the previous one that I showed you with the 2 decreases on both sides. Once I have these 2 rows here completed, I will be back and then we are gonna move on into the next step. So I am done here with my 7 rows, as you can see. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 rows in total with the decreases, 4 rows with 1 increase on each side, and 3 rows with 2 decreases on both sides. So all we have to do now is to create, I have here right now 3 rows just going up without increases. It's undoing already here, but you can see that it's 3 rows here going up. So this part is basically to reach the neck part that we are going to be doing next, which is this one here. So I will explain to you how to do that. So for now I'm just doing 3 rows, and then I will see if I have to add more rows later on. So all you have to do is to start exactly as we've been doing here into the other rows. Chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, and then another single crochet on top of the previous single crochet. All right, and all we have to do is to create double crochets going across here at the top until the other side, and you're going to be doing 3 rows in total. So I have finished right here with the 3 rows with only double crochets, no decreases or increases. And here into this last row we have 21 stitches, counting the very first one as one as well. And in total for the sleeves I have 30 rows. I'm going to be measuring now here for you from the top here of the shoulders until this point. So we have 51 centimeters. And in total we have 63 centimeters, as you can see. So this is the sleeve completed. So once you have one completed, you're gonna go ahead and do another one. So you have 2 sleeves. So now we are going to be creating the neck, which is this one right here. I'll share with you the amount of stitches and single crochets and also rows that I've created. And for this neck piece right here, it's exactly the same as the cuffs, but it's just going to be having more chains at the beginning of the row. All right, so this is the one that we are going to be doing now once you have the 2 sleeves completed. Also, I'm not going to fasten off right now my sleeves because I want to make sure that I have enough rows here to reach the neck part, which I'm going to be explaining to you very, very soon. So this is what you're going to be doing right now. So I'm going to be explaining to you because it's exactly the same as we did the cuffs, but it's just going to be having a little bit more chains here at the beginning, and then you just follow for as many rows as you need. So for the cuffs, we've done a chain of 20. For the neck right here, we are going to be doing a chain of 35. So we are going to be having 34 single crochets on top of the chain, and then that's going to be the same amount of single crochets until we have the length that we need. All right, so my neck measures 33 centimeters, just if you are wondering, because I think it's good for me to share with you. If you have the same neck circumference as me, you can do the same amount of rows. So I've done 60 rows here in total, and I'm going to be measuring that for you. So once you have the right amount of rows, you can cut the yarn and you can fasten off. And I'm also using these 2 yarns to sew here the neck close. All right, so I'm going to be measuring here for you now. So the length for the neck right here, because this is how you're going to be measuring the length, because we are going to be sewing it like this. So this is going to be the length and this is going to be the width of our neck. So the length of my turtleneck will be 22 centimeters. And then the length, which is going to go around my neck, I've done 34.5 centimeters. All right, so this is basically the sizing for this neck piece that I've created. So all we have to do now is to join the parts together, and then we are going to be sewing here close. Alright, so I've done here the sewing of my neck piece, and this is how it looks like. It's just like a little tube, and this is how it's going to look like, as you can see. So we are going to be folding it, And then we are going to be having a little bit more here so we can sew the sleeves here on the sides. All right, so this is what you want to have in mind. Also, when you're creating the neck piece, you want to make sure that it goes around your neck without stretching. So you don't want to stretch because you want this to go over your head. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Make sure that you measure, that you try it on if you want before you fasten off the sewing, so you can actually just sew it, and then you can just try it on before you fasten off the yarn, the sewing that you did, just to make sure that it's gonna go around your head. All right, so I have my one here completed. So now the next thing that we have to do is to try both of them on, and we have to check if we have enough rows here for the sleeves. All right, so I'll try it on and show you what you have to do to make sure that it is going to fit you perfectly. So I'm going to try this on now to make sure that it goes around my head. Okay, it does go around my head, which is good. And I'm already going to be folding the neck as I want. Oh my God, it's so crazy. And then we are going to be trying now the sleeves to make sure that the sleeves and the neck, they come together just like this. So I think this is perfect actually. I quite like that. We're still going to be adding a little finishing going all the way around here, the sleeves too. So I think this is really good and it fits really well, as you can see. So now I'm going to fasten off both of the sleeves. I'm going to be leaving a little bit of yarn, the light purple here, just to sew the two parts together. So I'm going to be using the purple to sew the two parts together. Just cutting a little bit here. And we can fasten off both of the sleeves. I'm also going to be doing on this one. So now I'm just going to be using my clips to just clip it together to make sure that we are sewing them properly. So first I'm going to be finding the sewing that I've done. So my sewing is right here, and then I'm going to be taking one of the sides of my neck. Okay, you can see the sewing right here. So it's basically divided in half. So we have this side and the other side. So now you're gonna take one of the sleeves, and you wanna make sure that the armpit is right here, it's facing you. So you're going to be putting it towards here, the neck, and we are going to be pinning this in place. And then you're going to be turning the other side, and we are going to be just clipping this one here on the other side also, making sure that you just leave a little bit of the neck right here showing. I will show you better. Just let me clip this on right here. And then once you have it clipped, all you have to do is to turn it like this. So this is what you're going to be having. It looks crazy right now, but you will see once it's sewed together. And here I left around 4 centimeters apart. Here, both of the sleeves, so they are 4 centimeters apart. So you can do that, or you can do them also close together. All right, so that's how mine looks. This is the back of my top. Also, you want to leave the same amount here at the front and the back. So I have 4 centimeters, and all we have to do now is to sew the parts together. So you're first going to be turning here on the reverse, basically where you've clipped the parts together. So right here, and all we have to do is to use this yarn that is attached to the sleeves, and then we are going to be sewing it closed. Exactly the same way that we closed and sewed the neck and the cuffs together. Once you are done, you can cut your yarn, and we are done here with the sewing with the sleeves on this side. And this is how it looks, as you can see. This is the sewing, looks pretty good. And now we have this side completed, and all we have to do is to repeat the sewing on the other side. So this is how it looks once we have sewed here the two parts on the sides, and you can see how it looks like this, the sewing. And then when you turn on the right side, it looks like this. So now the very last thing we have to do, I'm pretty excited about this. It looks super different, but at the same time super cute too. I'm pretty sure it's gonna look amazing on. So the last thing I wanna do is create a little finishing going all the way around here, the sleeves, around this part of the sleeves, just so it looks a little bit better, the finishing. And I'm going to be doing with my burgundy yarn and my 6mm hook for this one. So I'm going to be creating a slip knot, and I'm going to be attaching into any stitch here going around the arms with a single crochet. The single crochets is going to be starting right here. I'm gonna go all the way around, and then I'll finish right here, because then it's going to be covering everything. I'm going to be doing single crochets all the way around, so there is no secret. You can just go all the way around with single crochets so that you have a little finishing. So I'm just gonna go and do the single crochets right here, and then I'll meet you right at the end. So when you get here at the end, create your last single crochet, find the very first stitch, and then you're going to be slip stitching the sides together. You can chain one, cut the yarn, fasten off and weave in, and then I'll show you how it looks, because I'm quite liking this. Oh, so pretty. So here we have our arm warmer sweater completed. I'm pretty happy with the outcome. I really love it. I think that the single crochets going around here was a pretty good thing to do, because it added a really nice detail going around here, and it kind of matches the other details of the sweater right here. So I really like it, and you can actually decide if you want to do this single crochet detail going around here. I just thought that adding this detail, it completed the arm sweater, but it's going to be up to you how you want to do it. So yeah, everyone, we have completed another project here on the channel. I'm super excited about this one. It's super fun, something super different. I never seen anything like this before. This is a trend that is going on right now, but it's so different. Like, who invented this? This is so fun, right? So I really hope you enjoyed my take on this one here. I'm pretty happy with the outcome. I'm definitely gonna be wearing this outside, and it's probably gonna get a lot of attention, so I cannot wait for next year, because now it's already spring. This is going to be my last winter kind of project. I still can wear this here in the UK now for springtime, because it's a little bit chilly, so I can still get some wear out of this arm sweater, warmer sweater thing. I'm not used to the name yet, but I will. You can also do this sweater in one color if you want. I wanted to really use these two yarns that I had here at home already, and this beautiful pastel yarn right here. So combining the two shades, it was a plus, because it looks really good, and something that it kind of goes with my theme because of the burgundy, and then adding another color for now that it's spring. So really fun. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed. I had a lot of fun making this sweater. I hope you had a lot of fun too with me following this tutorial. And yeah, If you enjoyed, make sure to leave your massive thumbs up as you always do. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can watch more fun videos like this. Also, don't forget to turn the little bell notification on to receive a notification every time I post a new video. So thank you everyone for watching today's video, and I'll see you all on my next one. Bye!